So here we go, Ice-o-matic under counter. This machine is off on full bin. Obviously it needs to be cleaned up in there. What we're gonna do first is we're gonna clear the ice from the bin thermostat. We're gonna warm this up with our hands until it comes on. And then we're gonna take these off. You can just take that out. Once this is on and you verify that that pin is in the back position, you're just gonna go ahead and turn it off and then swap it over to wash mode. Now that it's in wash mode, water is just gonna circulate over the evaporator. You're just gonna add your cleaner straight into here. Just 1 second. So I've measured out about 4 ounces of nickel safe ice machine descaler. And I went ahead and I removed all the ice that I want to keep. The rest of this I'm going to end up dumping, so I don't really care if any of the cleaner gets on there. But you take your cleaner and you're just going to add it straight into the water tray, and then we're going to let that circulate for 10 to 15 minutes. So while that's circulating for 10 to 15 minutes, we're going to get rid of the rest of this ice. So after you get all the ice out, you're going to want to take some hot water, dump it in there. That'll get the rest of the ice out of there and help clear out your drain line. So we're at about 10 minutes or so. What we're gonna do is we're gonna shut the water off right here, I believe. Just turn that. It should be off. And then hit your purge button right here, right there. And that just opens up the dump valve, and this should empty out of water. And then we're gonna unplug it, because when you're working on this, you want it unplugged so you don't shock yourself. All right, there it goes, emptying out. All right, here's my plug here. Unplug it. So we're gonna remove this top panel. There's a screw right there, right there, and then same on that side and that side. Luckily we can roll this forward in order to get to it. And then I'll show you what it looks like when you remove it. Once your screws are removed, you can just lift that up and pull that out of the way. Along with this, it gives you a lot more access to work on what you need to work on. So I pulled this out and saw this. Side note, if you see that, just go ahead and clean it out. It's gonna need to be done sooner or later. It's gonna cause a flood. So that was gross, but got that figured out. Now we're back to this guy. All right, so here's how we're gonna start disassembling this. We're gonna start with just taking off the distribution tube. This is a 3/8 nut driver here. Set that off to the side, and you're gonna take off this one as well. And then you're gonna take off that hose clamp and then set this off to the side. All right, I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. If this is your first time doing this, this next part is gonna be really hard. There's a screw right here where my finger is. Actually, it's a finger nut, whatever you wanna call it. It's essentially, it's one of these that's up right back there. It's kind of hard to get to. It's right there. This side's even harder to get to because of the bin thermostat, but like I said, 3/8 nut driver, you should be able to get on it and take it off. It's going to be the hardest part of the job, so just prepare yourself. So once you get those 2 screws out, this will be down, and if you see how dirty that is, that's the reason why you need to remove it, and then it just kind of slides down. This is connected in the back. Be careful you don't mess that up too much, because if you break it or bend it, it won't work properly, and your machine won't work, because that controls when the machine turns on and turns off. So we're still gonna have to remove this bin, but before we do that, I like to clean this first so that I can wash it down into the bin and then down the drain. It just saves some time later on if you do it now. All right, so I went ahead and cleaned this up. It's not perfect yet, but I got a majority of it done. The next step is going to be to remove this bin. There are 2 finger screws. There's one here, there's one here. You're just going to loosen those up. Actually, you're going to take them all the way off after you loosen them up. Just like that. Make sure you hold on to the washer. This one comes off as well. Like that. Then you are going to take out, where are you at? This one right here, this one right there, and then you're going to take this clamp off so you can remove the drain line. All right, so now that those are all taken out, you can kind of just lift this up and slide that forward. You're going to have to be careful of your bin thermostat. Kind of just push that over the edge. It doesn't really matter. And then this is actually relatively light. You can just set it off to the side for right now. That way you can clean this with a coil brush, some compressed air. Other thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to clean these drain lines. I need to make that stop. I'm going to do that for right now. I have the water shut off, but for some reason it's still dripping. Not a big deal. So dump valve right here, super important. Make sure that your power's shut off because this will shock you. Even when it's off, it's still energized for whatever reason and it's not fun. So that looks pretty clean. There's a little bit of that whiteness around that edge. So I'm gonna take that to the sink and just clean it off and then put it right back in the way I found it. Just like that, it just kind of sits in there. And then you're gonna slide that right over the top. And then once they're in there, it's just a small little turn, it clicks into place. And then I'm gonna clean the condenser. And then I'm gonna do it in reverse, put it back together. I'm gonna do a little bit more cleaning on my water pump and my float, as well as this side over here, because it's really hard to get to, but obviously it needs to be done, as well as this side. That's why I did a majority of this before, and then I'm just gonna do this side, and right there. When cleaning this, make sure you use a soft bristled brush. Anything hard that might damage this will completely ruin your machine, and you'll spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get it fixed. So I ended up just pulling it out, taking it to the sink over there and cleaning it. Made it a lot easier. Now I got to put it back in. So I was going to try to clean this in place, but I ended up pulling it out just because it was easier. The way it came out was loosen up those 2 screws on the back. And there's just 2 little eyelets that it sits over. Like I said, I can't get my freaking water to shut off. But then after you pull it up and out of the eyelets, it just drops straight down and you just pull it out the bottom. You have to route this out and then unplug it and disconnect the water. It'll come right out. So I went ahead and put my water pump back in place, plugged it in, reconnected my water line. I still need to tighten these screws up in the back so that this sits nice and stable. And then I slid my bin back in place because that water leak was giving me trouble and causing me all kinds of headache. Make sure that you don't crush or bend or smash this when you're putting it back into place, because this will end up going back right there as soon as I clean my water tray and put that back in place. All right, now that you're at this stage, you got the bin back in, you got your little finger screws back in down there, and then the screws down here. You're just gonna rinse and scrub and rinse and scrub until you stop seeing all these little black chunky things or brown chunky things coming out, until you're satisfied that it's perfectly clean, and then we'll finish putting it back together. All right, scrubbed and rinsed a couple more times. I'm satisfied that it's good. So now I'm just gonna take my ice machine food safe sanitizer and I'm just gonna spray everything really, really well. So I scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed, and it's a lot better, but some of these spots, they won't come out Give it the best effort you can, and you know, if it doesn't come off, it doesn't come off. So rinsed it, filled it, sanitized it, rinsed it, filled it, sanitized it. It's up and running now. I'm gonna see how long it takes to make ice. I'm gonna put the finishing touches on this while it's making ice, and show you what the ice looks like when I'm all done. So we're all completely put back together and clean. We're making our first batch of ice. And there it goes, about to fall in the bin. We're all nice and clean up top. All nice and clean in the bin. Everything's been wiped out. There goes the ice. See you next time.